Connecting with people who have Alzheimer's disease can be famously difficult, sometimes painful, frustrating, torturous, and, as I think we will see, sometimes rewarding on a profound level. The reality of this disease demands that we listen with open minds. It requires attention to meaning beyond the definitions of words, meaning in breath, in sounds, in gestures, meaning in hands and eyes. Artist Josh Dorman listens and observes people with Alzheimer's disease to create his visions of each individual person's life. Vivid and evocative, Dorman's art undertakes the rich possibility for presence, a world of presences, calling to mind the difficult art of listening.
Well, nowadays everything is different. I swear I can't remember. Bow, bow, bow. If I remember you.
I think people will make their own sense out of each piece.
Don't jump in with both feet and then find yourself out in the middle of some goofy street.
In many ways, making these paintings is like composing music.
Well, the only thing that we have is our soul.
In a way, these pieces might be an artistic legacy of a person's life. I've been trying to put together in my mind how my artwork makes sense in relation to Alzheimer's and dementia. And the thing I keep coming back to is that words cannot answer this question. Painting is a visual language. Words seem to fail me when I try to explain my art, and words often fail people who suffer with Alzheimer's. I think we both occupy interior worlds that don't always match up with everyday reality. My aim was to listen to responding to questions about their life and hearing their stories and memories and free associations and weave them into some kind of visual picture. I hope that there's a kind of poetry or beauty or something of value in these paintings that will make people curious and try to understand something about the inner world these people must be in so that they can relate to them, communicate halfway, meet halfway, and talk, relate to people on their terms. The 5 paintings behind me represent 5 individuals that I met in Chicago, spent time listening to, and these are the works that resulted. The top painting is the one based on Lula Pearl Jackson, who is an interesting woman from Kentucky.
Josh is painting a picture of the past.
Whose past? His? Where he lived and all?
Well, if you'd be so kind to share some of your past, he'd paint your past.
He wouldn't see it.
He'd see it in his mind's eye. But we got to help him out. So let's help him out. What do you think he should paint if he's going to paint Lula Pearl Jackson's past?
She is in her late 70s, very energetic, vivacious, and spirited woman.
Kentucky is a beautiful state, I think.
I do too.
Some of the buildings in it, boy, are beautiful.
Lula talked about Kentucky a lot, took a lot of pride in being a Kentucky woman. And I think a real Southern belle.
You ever ride a horse?
Oh, yes.
I did not know that.
I did ride horses.
She mentioned horses a lot in her memories. And in every painting, I think because of the nature of the project, I tried to incorporate a bridge image. This piece is based on Blas Ortiz, who was from Puerto Rico and was an opera singer.
Can you tell me some things about your life?
My life?
Yeah.
My life was beautiful.
Your life was beautiful. What kind of things were beautiful? What did you do?
Well, since I was a little kid, I used to sing. I love music.
And Blas hadn't sung for months, but as soon as the camera was on him, he started singing beautiful, beautiful songs.
If I remember you, if I remember you.
If You Remember Me was one of the lyrics that he kept singing over and over.
Because you
Mostly Blas was singing in Spanish and English. He didn't speak very much English, but he communicated a lot just in his songs. Blas said that music is my language.
Remember me.
This was the last piece I worked on, and this one is based on Thelma Swanson. And it was the most challenging piece to do in a way. And in a way the most upsetting, because she was the person who, when we interviewed, seemed the least connected to reality. And seemed the most upset.
Want to try it again?
And disturbed, really.
I'm tortured, if that's what you're going to do.
No, I'm too.
Ah, puppy. The phone is here. What do you want? We want anything. Eat that, potty. Shoo, shoo, shoo.
This piece also, for me, has the least organization and is the most chaotic, because it seemed that her thoughts were really not connected. During this interview, there was a moment with Michael and Thelma that was really, for me, the most powerful thing I experienced with anyone when I was there. In the midst of sort of making animal sounds and ranting and talking about food, Michael held his hand up to touch Thelma's hand. He asked her how old her hands are.
As old as I am.
They're as old as you are?
It was a really strange moment of complete lucidity, and it really seemed to come from that moment of touch. I think everyone could become a better listener, especially, when we think about Alzheimer's and how prevalent it is, and it's going to be for most of us in one way or another. It makes sense to think about what these people are experiencing and to try to maybe hear it, see it more clearly, and that takes time, and it takes stepping outside of your usual reality. And I guess I hope that paintings might make people in one way or another a little more curious about what kind of interior life a person with Alzheimer's might have. When I look back at that now over a decade later, I realize how it's really had a lingering effect on my work and my process, especially the painting about Thelma, which tried to capture something that was the least about appearance and most about a chaotic internal state, and prompted me to just reach for collage elements and work very improvisationally, and that has kind of echoed for many years since then. Last year when I saw the film Love is Listening, I was inspired to revisit the portrait idea. And this time I came at it from a different angle, not thinking about an existing individual, and trying to capture something of a history and a past and memories, but to really invent individuals and work more within an abstract language. My normal paintings are invented landscapes and rarely contain human figures, so this time I really wanted to focus more on a portrait, but in a way allow for a more fluid response. The main difference is I wasn't trying to capture tangible fragments of memory or life story, but really to work with imagery in a kind of free associative way, which in a way I think relates much more to the state of mind of someone with Alzheimer's. More recent work became much more about putting down a sea of imagery and then finding the figure within that and kind of excavating it. So they're much more porous, much more fluid. What I hope to capture is something about the porous state of mind, which I can only imagine as something terrifying, to lose the mooring of a reality that you've known. And I guess what I hope to convey is that there could be something beautiful in that. The more I have learned about Alzheimer's and dementia, the more it seems that the way people are learning to approach people with Alzheimer's and dementia is not to try and bring them to a level of reality that we are accustomed to, but to meet them in their own reality, to validate their reality. So the loss of connection to time and logic and memory is not so terrifying, and that possibly there could be something wonderful about going on that journey into another reality. That's what I hope is in these portraits.